Hey everybody, Peter Zion here, coming to you from about 13,800 feet on, where am I? Square Top Mountain. Behind me, you've got the Continental Divide with, let's see if I get this right, Sullivan Peak, Santa Fe Peak, Silver Peak, Revenue Peak, and Decatur Peak. Project for another day. Anywho, today we're talking about media and why we're all so uninformed and why propaganda is doing so well. Propaganda only works when you do not have a well-informed population. And for a population to be well-informed, you need multiple sources of information that are credible. Sure, maybe everyone has their own political view, of course, but we all have to agree on what the basic facts are, and media has to work from that. And that no longer exists in the United States. The problem started back in the 1980s with the fax machine. It used to be that every newspaper of size, so basically like Des Moines Register on up, had a number of roving reporters, several of which were stationed abroad, and the larger papers, and of course most of the TV stations, had foreign bureaus. And when you've got a system like that, you have people who are capable of seeing what's going on, writing stories, interpreting things. You have copy editors who are doing checks there. You have editors who are stationed abroad who are doing things. And you get multiple eyes on every story before it comes back to the home printing or the home viewing. And it goes through another round of fact checks and basically bullshit detection. Well, with the fax machine, we no longer needed that degree of staffing abroad. Things like copy editors went away. And by the time we got to the 1990s, we had email and attachments. And with that, we thinned down the numbers even more. By the time we got to the 2000s, most of those foreign bureaus were gone, and you just had a few roving reporters. And as we got into cost cutting because the internet was rising, we got rid of most of those roving reporters as well, and we just started using local stringers. So people were getting local insights still, but it was no longer getting fact-checked. It was being blinded by whatever the proclivities of the people who were collecting the information was, and there was never a backstop. Well, you fast forward today, and we now have algorithms that are writing our newspaper stories for us and that are investigating and scraping the web for things. And the fact-checking has largely gone. And in this sort of environment, it is very, 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 very easy for a charismatic politician to say, that's not true at all. That's just fake news. What I say is real. And you get entire political movements built around a person. In that sort of environment, news has a hard time playing bullshit detector because the factfulness that is necessary for an educated populace to call bullshit itself is largely gone, and people start putting their trust in a person rather than an institution or a set of information venues. Now, where does that take us next? Still on Square Top, but this is now Mount Evans and Mount Bearstad behind me, a couple 14ers. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Now, this sort of information desert, if you will, is not exactly a new experience. It's just new to the United States. In places like the Middle East, where you've
And then finally, of course, there's the euro. The Europeans for a long time have been mooting the U.S. dollar as a co-equal currency, if you will. The European euro should be right there with them. But they confiscated insured bank deposits back when they had their financial crisis in the late 2000s, early 2010s. And as a result, anyone who could move their money out of Europe did. So it's a regional currency, and that's not nothing.